morning.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm waiting for Tony. I think she was going to come into the call. But today we're going to be working on the basics. I had a few questions over the weekend on some people on MeWe. I'm not sure if you are, Kristen, are you in MeWe yet?
No, that was the first I had heard of it.
Yeah, it's been around for a while, and like Kayla and me were just talking. We've both had accounts in there before, but we kind of just haven't done anything with them. And I had to set up another account because somehow it disappeared and didn't recognize me. So I had to set up another account. But I have, I'm moving everything over there just in case Facebook goes down. And I'm going to just be concentrating on everything over there for now. I am working on my own social network for my website, but that's going to take me a few months to get done. So until then, most of the stuff is going to be over there on MeWe for now. And I am on Pinterest. I do post a lot of the blog stuff that I'm doing on Pinterest as well. I'm setting up different groups in MeWe. I did a search yesterday on there, and there was 0 tarot groups, 0 tarot pages, 0 witchcraft pages, 0 witchcraft groups. So I'm setting all of that stuff up. So I'll be set up to be #1 on there when everybody flocks over there. So that's pretty cool. That was pretty cool to find out yesterday.
Check it out.
But the question, one of the questions that was asked about learning the cards was the person has a grasp of the major arcana, but does not have a grasp of the minor, and is also having trouble with court cards. Now, Kristen, where are you in your tarot?
Good question. I do a gazillion things. So I mean, I have, I guess, a basic understanding. I mostly work with just regular angel cards, oracle, or like archangel tarot. I kind of combine them. And I do numerology. So the numbers usually, I find other signs that I need, but I definitely need to develop a better understanding of everything in tarot. I would say I'm beginner on that.
Okay, have you watched any, had a chance to watch any of the training videos that I have on the website, or?
Yes, I've had intentions of coming back to them and really like sitting down and doing them. But I think, yeah, sitting with each card and kind of having my intention and understanding, right? So I need to spend more time on it. I would say I'm at the beginner stage.
Now, how I teach people to get their interpretations to the cards instead of other people's interpretations of the cards. Of course, I have mine up on the website of course, you have to have a grasp of the basics of what each card energy is. For instance, I'll use a court card, since a lot of people have a lot of trouble with court cards. When you look at the Queen of Wands, now the Queen of Wands is all about allowing someone to learn their passion in a safe manner. Of course, it's that motherly figure, So I look to people in my life. Who is it in my life that I have had that experience with? For instance, my own mother. Who, taught us to all follow and do something that we love to do, and then she, of course, switched to the more of the Queen of Swords. Well, you have to make a plan for your future. You have to know exactly what steps, and you have to have something to fall back on. That was, another part of my own mother, with her personality and how she raised us kids. So when it comes to the court cards, I always revert back to who in my life did I have an experience with, and what was that experience about? And that is where you can really grasp hold of your own interpretations. You grab a hold of those emotions that you went through in those experiences. with that person. You know, what is their base personality? Does it bring in other aspects of other cards? You know, like my mom, she would switch back and forth, kind of like, you know, and of course, every mother pretty much incorporates every um, queen card in the tarot at different points. You know, there's different needs for different personalities when it comes to mothering children and raising children. So you can always revert back to, you know, your own mother, unless of course you didn't have a mother. That may be a little bit of a blockage there, but mother figures in your life. You know, who were those people? And it doesn't even have to be a woman, but that person that represents that type of energy that card is about. You can always find those people in your life, and you look at their aspects, look how they behave, look at how they would handle a situation. What advice would they give you? And those are all those types of interpretations that you can bring in for any card, not just the court cards. But seeing that people have such problems with court cards, I really wanted to hit that point in this training, because I am posting this on MeWe and in the Facebook, and of course on YouTube when we're done here. So, and Akela, you said that you're always in your own head about the cards, so it gives you trouble, and that's where I'm telling you to go into your own head. That's where all of this information is. That's where all of your interpretations are going to come from. You know, just look at a little bit of the base meanings, that even if you go to my website and you look at whatever card that you want to look at, just pick one little piece out of that interpretation that I have up there and find an experience in your life that you can relate to that one little piece. Because there's multiple different aspects of the upright and reversal definitions that I have on the website. So you can pick and choose what piece that you want to connect with at what point. The more experiences that you can connect with, the more experiences that are going to come flooding in when you're actually in a reading, because your brain works in that fashion. Your brain is connected to many different experiences in your life, even if you think you forgot them. At some point, once you get used to doing this, when you're in the middle of a reading and you're looking at cards, all of that information and some things that you didn't expect are going to come flooding in. Now, Tony, can you give them an example? You know, for those of you that don't know, Tony is one of my students. She's been with me since what, March?
Yeah, coming up for a year.
And can you just give them an example of a time when you can remember looking at the cards and then all of these memories come flooding in?
For me, because I was different to the rest of the group, wasn't I? So I connected to cards completely differently to everyone else, because I was like, I'm like a book person. So I'm like, I need to give me the A to Z, give me the like text, let me learn it verbatim. And that wasn't clicking, that just wasn't working. So it was when you started teaching us about bringing in memories and we started doing all those exercises in class, that was when these cards started to link to me. So I couldn't pull memories for everything. So you gave me the other one where I used objects. So like, is it the King of Cups or King of Chalices, whatever you want to call him, the King of, water. So I might have likened him to my favorite goblet that I have around the house that I probably pull out for, because I have Halloween parties. So it kind of reminded me of something there. So I started linking them to objects around the house and what I might link that object to, or what I might use it for, or the fun side of things. So that's how I started linking, like with the court cards per se, to me. And then from there, I was able to then start to work out how their personalities might be, because I had to find my link to them, and that was my link in the end. With the other cards, so some things link straight to like things I don't like. The Empress. I hate that card. because she mainly brings like fertility. I hate kids myself, that is not anyone else's kids, but I personally hate kids for myself, so I don't want kids. So the Empress, the fertility side of it, when she comes up, she scares the crap out of me. So she's not a card I ever want in my own readings, until Julie then gave me like another word for her, and I was like, oh, okay, right, I can ride with this word. She's okay if she turns up in my readings and it's this word, that's fine. If she's any of this, I don't want her, you know. Those were the times that I started connecting, but that was, I mean, yeah, it took a couple of months of learning with you for me to start connecting with the cards in that way, because before then I'd sit, you know, 1 hour for 3 cards spread with like multiple books out in front of me, trying to work out what they all say about each card and still not understand what that spread in front of me meant. But it's then connecting, putting them together, and then you said like we started to make stories with the cards from our memories. So yeah, that's kind of how I did it. The other guys did it completely differently.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So when you're when you gather this, okay, this card sort of represents this personality to me or these traits. Does your intuition just guide you to understand, like, does this card represent the energy that my, you know, the sitter is working with, or is it someone else in their life? You know,
A lot of times it
well,
depends
when I
on-
like, yeah.
Uh,
I was gonna say, when I pull a court card, I'm different to Julie. So I pull a court card and I will give, I still am waiting for all my intuition to come in. So I will give all meanings of the court card. So there's potentially 3 meanings, isn't there? There can be like a movement from it, the energy from it, and a person. So I'll give all 3 out, but Julie works, because she's obviously been doing it a lot longer, so she works different.
For me, a lot of times it's kind of instinctual at this point for me, because I've been doing it for so long. When I look at a card and I before I even do a reading for somebody, I have a talk. We discuss what is going on in their life. We discuss one of the main questions that they have. Now, for one party that I did in particular, I didn't discuss anything with anybody before I did it. Now, what I did at that point was I dealt 4 different stacks of cards, 6 cards a piece, and had them choose. And I laid them all out and I looked at the spread. Those surrounding cards kind of gave me that energy of what was really going on and what direction that I needed to take from one card to another. That gave me those different memories coming in and those different connections to, you know, what happened in this story, what happened, you know, how does this card reference this story? For example, and you'll notice if we do these live Zooms again, I'm constantly, yeah, when the first initial classes, Tony, I remember your comment, you go, I want to get a peek inside that cupboard, because I was constantly pulling out different cards.
Different decks, different cards. It's like she just arm disappears into like a black hole and out comes.
They're addicting.
Tell me about it.
They're in a different cupboard now, but these ones were just laying up on top of my son's hamster cage. So, all right.
The hamster reads too, huh?
Huh?
The hamster reads too, huh?
Yes, he loves it.
Dogs too.
Barking? Why are the dogs barking?
Because I didn't acknowledge them.
Okay, stop. There's nobody here. Except the
Be
cat.
a phone call in 10 minutes.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, I'm just gonna grab a couple cards here. Hi, Sarah.
oh,
And you'll learn too, anything goes in these calls. I have 3 kids and, you know, there's 8 cats in the house and 3 dogs. So yeah, anything can go here.
And that's a previous classmate. That one got named after Sarah.
Yeah, she was named after one of my other students. Okay, I pulled the Knight of Pentacles and the Four of Swords, and this is the So Below deck in the Book of Shadows collection. Just in case you're wondering what cards these are. Now, when I look at these two together, I'm thinking about, you know, the Knight of Pentacles to me represents a plan, a base plan of action to move forward. It's strategy. It's, as you can see, he's planning out his garden as to where he wants to plant certain plants in order to get the most benefit from whatever the end harvest is. So this is really planning out where it is for whatever you're dealing with, whatever problem there is. So if I was to give this to a person in a reading, I would be recalling a memory as to, okay, what part of, what memory do I have that would suggest I had to make a plan? And of course, my mother being my mother and the planner that she is, it was a constant from ninth grade to senior year. You know, you need to make a plan as to what courses you need to take in school in order, because I wanted to be a vet tech or a veterinarian, which I did end up being. So we made that plan, you know, what courses did I need to take? And, you know, I subsequently took those courses. And then when you bring the Four of Swords up here, yes, this is the Four of Swords. Now that kind of references to me that once that plan is in action, I can kind of take it easy just a little bit, not completely, but I can take it easy just a little bit. I don't know if you can really see that card, but she's sitting there at her desk blowing bubbles. So it's the information that I needed. I will give to myself because of all that planning. It's going to come to me, and I will know that I have everything in sight. So it's a lot to do with the cards in the spread or in the question itself. And with that party that I did, it was very interesting the way that I just spontaneously decided to do those readings for those people. But, you know, everybody throughout the whole reading, I told them, do not tell me if I'm right or wrong. Do not tell me what's going on until we're done with the reading. And when I would get done with the first 6 cards, I would ask them, do you still need information? And I think there was 2 of them that did. So I drew cards, clarifying cards on top of the initial 6. And I would go through that way. And by the time we were done, they would walk out and I would hear, wow. I didn't even tell her anything, and she completely knew what was going on. And I know what I need to do. So the people that I did do readings for that day, that in that manner, were really blown away. And I did have one of them get a hold of me a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I think it was right after Christmas, asking me for full year astrology readings. So she's gonna text me back when she's ready for those. But when it comes to how do I know what memories to pull in, it all depends on the cards. It depends on the combination of the cards. If it was just a one card that they wanted me to pull, I generally go straight back to the base energy of the card. And I read that like we do in the live shows. Tony and Suzanne still do those 1 card draws in the group, and you'll see them pull that 1 card, and that's really how I would do it, was just pull the base energy of that card. And of course I look at their question, and that question does have a lot to do with it as well. And a lot of times you'll see, you know, myself and the girls reform those questions, because I don't teach my students to be predictive with their readings. I teach them to be more of a guidance kind of thing. So if somebody asks me, will something happen? I let them know right off the top. I don't do predictive with tarot. I like to use tarot in a more productive manner and use it to guide you on what you should do about the situation. And I reword the question in a, like using who, what, where, and how are a lot of the basis that I go when it comes to those questions. Anything you want to add to that, Tony?
No, I think that's pretty it. Yeah, we do. When you're doing one card reading, it's very different to having 2 or 3 cards in front of you because you don't have a story to form. So yeah, the one card back to the base of the card, and it's just a general energy then of what you're answering. And I agree. I don't like, because tarot seems to get mixed up a lot with mediumship. So people automatically assume you're a medium or a psychic or something. So people come to you for the wrong things often. So you do need to check that people understand who you are, and what you do, just to be sure that they're not confusing those. Because we have a lot of mediums who start with tarot, and that kind of brings their intuition in. It's how they start their intuition rolling. And I think that's what's causing some of the confusion. So for us, it's more, we are, it's guidance and coaching for your life, but it's allowing you to see the bigger picture. So you may be like laser focused in on the one point, or the person, the querent, will be laser focused on one point, and we are just showing them like what's actually around. If you lift your head up and look out the parapet, this is actually what's sat around you, and here's how you need to, see and make your decisions based on that. Because we aren't here to tell, like a tarot reader, you should never tell someone what to do. Like you should never tell someone whether they should or shouldn't be in a relationship, because what happens if they don't take that relationship? And it could have been the best thing that would ever happen to them because you said so, and they believe everything you say verbatim, so we are always advising. We are never saying what you should or shouldn't do. It's just advice. It's always just advice. It's only as good as that moment, because the person can walk out the door, set up a chain of events that completely disregard the cards that have just been laid out in front of them.
Free choice.
Yeah,
Exactly. We never take away free choice, and that is one of the great things about my group and about me doing these teachings and my courses and stuff, is I really hit that point home, is that I want to change the view that the masses have about tarot. To me, tarot has absolutely zero to do with what's going to happen down the road. It has to do what's happening right here and now. People come to tarot readers for that support, for that advice, and that misconception that we can see what's going to happen in the future, I think needs to really take that turn to how can I help myself? You as a tarot reader, what advice can you give me that I can use to help myself to solve my problems? And that is what that I don't know if you guys have been in, how long you guys have been in the group, but I teach my students my method of basically, what do you call it? Where's my chemo brain going again? Counseling, there we go. A kind of like a counseling with tarot. It's called the Transformation Passageway. And what I teach them is how to look at people's problems and see them from the top down. We talk to our clients and we find out what the major problem is, and then once we go we take the major problem and we go deeper. What is causing all of these different problems, and then we do readings on each one of those different problems. So it's like either 6 readings at the beginning, and it can go farther from that, which are scheduled out enough so to give somebody enough time to work on those base problems, because those base problems cause big problems. And once you take care of those little tiny problems, that takes care of the major problem altogether. By the time you get to the end of those series of readings, those problems are pretty much taken care of in themselves. So that's the way I look at using tarot, instead of all of that predictive and mystery that is really surrounds tarot and witchcraft in general, I take that mystery away and I show them that they all have the power to solve all these problems. And, this is my advice. I use that tarot as the advice. And whether or not our clients choose to follow that advice, again, that is up to them. That is their free will. Whatever we read in that tarot reading is not set in stone. And you do not have to, I make that perfectly clear, and so does Tony and Suzanne. When we're doing a reading, we made it get perfectly clear that our clients have that free choice. But we really want to get down to the nitty gritty on what is the underlying problems, because there's always underlying problems to what they consider the major problem that they're having. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay. Now, one other question, going right back to basics here, that somebody else had was minor arcana. They were having a problem. They said they had the major arcana down, but they were having a problem with the minor arcana. They couldn't understand how the minor arcana came into play. So basically, the minor arcana, if you get into the courses, when I teach that tarot transformation passageway, I deal major arcana. I separate the deck into major and minor, and I deal the 6 major arcana for each of the questions in the spread. I do that first. The minor arcana I use as clarifiers. So the major arcana is what it is that is either blocking or that somebody needs to do. The minor arcana is how. So the major is the what, the minor is the how. And when it comes to the minor arcana, there are 3 separate, I separate it into 3. Let's just put it that way. And when I don't actually separate the deck, it's when you're looking at kind of like the numerology, you will get this, Kristen. 1 through 4 is laying down your bases. It's the start and until your foundation, because 4s are foundational. And then from 5, 6, and 7, those are pretty much where chaos reigns in my mind, because 5s are really tough. 6 are figuring it out. And then 7s are, okay, that strategy is in place. We've got to the point where we know what we need to do. And that's what those 7s are. And once we get into the 8, 9, and 10, those are getting to the point where we have specialized, or it's coming to that end of all of, or coming to the end of the situation that we're in. No matter, whether it's a great end, a negative end, would of course all depend on the spread, the questions, and the surrounding cards. But that is how I view the minor arcana. I use them as the how. And the majors, of course, is the what to concentrate on, or what is blocking, depending on whether that card comes out reversed or upright. And then I would deal the clarifying cards with the minor arcana and figure out how. How do we deal with this situation? What needs to be done? That kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kayla, do you have any questions about, are you stuck on anything?
I'm stuck on everything, but I'm absorbing the information. So, yeah, that made sense, kind of like breaking it. I don't know. When you were breaking the numbers down, it's like, yeah, I get stupid. Sorry. The 7, 8, 9, 10, it's like, that's your reward part of it. 5, 6, 7, or the middle numbers were, kind of like where your work is. And then, the first numbers are your beginning, your beginning stages, and then you're working towards that reward.
Right.
I don't know. Those were the words that popped into my head when you were saying that. I'm not conveying it. Yeah, I hate being on camera. So this is like torture right now. So yeah. I
Okay, Kristen, did you have any?
don't like being seen.
Oh, do I have any questions? Yeah, I'm also absorbing all the information. I just have to spend more time, I guess, understanding, developing my own personal interpretation of each card. So that's where I'm at. That was helpful. As one teacher I'd worked with at one point had mentioned even like the direction that the card was or not.
Oh my God, yeah, no, the tarot snobs.
So like if the queen is facing this way and that facing her and like whatever, drawing a connection there. But that's not really how my brain works. I do more of the intuitive like memory, again, my own experience, but I guess through intuition because I'm too lazy to research on every card.
That's also why I like the Leonard cards better too, because it's like Tony was saying, connecting them to the objects. Because I mean, if you actually could see my place, it's full of objects from like my earliest memories of 3 years old up to now, because I can connect stories with those objects, And so when Tony said that about, instead of connecting it to a person, connecting to objects, that kind of really set in, and that made me remember the Leonard cards, because I posted not too long ago that I was connecting more to those cards than I am the traditional tarot.
Right.
And that's why, it's because the symbolism in it can grasp a bit more in my immature fairy tale mind, because y'all know, it lives in Wonderland and Neverland. So that made a lot more sense too. It was, connecting it to objects instead of people.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've discussed this before on one of the lives, but if excuse me, you can also make those connections with books, with TV shows, with movies.
And that's where all mine is. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that really pops into your head about the energy of the card and the base meaning. There are a lot of people, Kristen, I'm going to just put this out there for you and anyone else who's watching this later on. There are people that are diehard strict. You have to tell the exact definition of that card or you're wrong. And that is not how I believe that true tarot was meant to be done. I believe it was meant to be used for exactly how I'm teaching it, is to reach into yourself and those memories and give that advice to people. It is not something that has to be so strict that you can't have any fun with it at all. There are some people that just take it way too seriously. And I know Tony's had to kick a couple out of her group. I've kicked a couple out of my group because I'm just not that's just not the vibe and the culture that I want around my teachings with tarot.
No, I wandered into one of those groups myself. She's quite well known. It turns out the group was massive. She's big on YouTube. She does free readings on a certain day of the week. I'm not going to say out loud because of basically naming her channel. And I happened to question her. I challenged her about something she put down because I didn't think as a mentor she should be airing her views in the way she did. And she didn't like the challenge. So I discovered quite quickly that particular group was not friendly. And if you didn't see tarot from their view, they weren't interested, and you certainly couldn't join in the conversation. And she was exactly that. If the queen was facing one direction, then this was happening. And if the skin was so much of the card, then this was happening. If somebody created a deck that had a knight and how dare he not be on a horse, then how are you supposed to know which way he's traveling? Well, to me, that's when your intuition kicks in, and that's when you use the cards the other way around. If you can't tell someone which way they're traveling when the knight's popped up because you haven't got a horse on the card, then I'm sorry, are you really a reader anymore? I don't know. Have you learned a new language? Probably not. And I'm not criticizing, because actually their way of doing other things, it is eye-opening. And yeah, there were lots of things that you could kind of be like, oh, okay, so if I get stuck, maybe I could look at the cards and decide which way people are facing because I can't talk about anything else. But is that the right way of reading it? I don't know. Am I truly reading the cards and opening up the question for the person by doing that? I don't know. I can't answer that question either. But they're to ponder their thoughts, and I like things that provoke thought, and I like to question stuff, not to be an ass, but I like to question things to learn other ways, other answers, other rationale around things. But you have to be able to rationalize what you're doing to me for me to respect what you say. If you just come back at me with defensive and rubbish, I'm not listening.
Yeah. I mean, being critical about other people's interpretations, it is not at all my views of any of it. I push for people to have their own interpretations. That's what my whole teaching is about, is for you to have your own interpretations, to be an individual, and to be able to easily do this. And be able to, like, Tony and I can do at this point. I mean, I know Tony, once in a while she struggles, especially with which one were you having a huge problem with? Was it the Queen of Swords? And I don't know why you would have a problem with the swords, but I'm kind of thinking that
Queen of Cups, wasn't it?
Oh, Queen of Cups.
Because she's emotions, and I don't like emotions.
Yeah.
I'm a swords gal, okay? I get the swords cards, absolutely. No one else likes the swords cards. I like the swords cards. People misunderstand the swords cards hugely. They're like crabs. They're like Cancerians, okay? They've got a hard shell with a really soft inner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you're an air sign, so you can.
Yeah, but I don't get this whole part on my sleeve emotion stuff that comes from the cups. Like, they really bug me. They're so like they're too much out there. Like, just rein it in. Close that back up and put it away. But but she was one of my cards, wasn't she? She was one of my like shadow working cards for last year. I had to work on becoming the Queen of Swords. I had to somehow learn.
You had to
Queen of Cups. I had to learn to embody the Queen of Cups in my being to get that out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the way I look at the Queen of Cups. It is that mother, the epitome of mom. It is I associate it kind of with the Empress card, which is probably another reason why you hated it. Because it is that motherly figure, that comforter, that person that everybody goes to in their time of sorrow for comfort and for that shoulder to cry on. It is that person that makes sure everybody has what they need when they need it, even though she's putting herself behind. She's putting herself last. And I attribute that card to myself because that's me in a nutshell. It's everybody has everything that they need, and if I have time and money to do it for myself, then I will. If not, oh well, I guess I go without before, but at least the kids are happy, the husband's happy, everybody's happy. And that I think is something on my shadow side that I got to work on, which is not doing for myself. So there is, I encourage that individuality when it comes to your interpretations. And you can't stress that enough, because I don't want to say a really negative word about other people and other teachers, but I think the strictness is what really makes people fail when it comes to their interpretations. Is if you are a tarot teacher and you are strict and tell people you have to use the Rider-Waite descriptions for all of these cards, you cannot deviate, that is what that means. I don't think that is conducive to even progressing with tarot and trying to learn it and memorize it, that is way too much information to try to memorize somebody else's thoughts. When it's your own thoughts, it's simple. It turns the tarot in from something that is overwhelming and frustrating and a lot of times terrifying. You know, I was scared in the beginning to even think about doing a reading for somebody else because I thought in my own head that I had to memorize every single one of those Rider-Waite descriptions in order to be a professional. Until, you know, until cancer hit, until I said, you know what, I'm doing things different and I have to do, because I could not memorize it. Chemo would not let me memorize it at all. That was a no-go. So I had to go within my own head. And, you know, like Tony can testify, my way of teaching is nothing that I don't think anybody has ever. I mean, you have Biddy Tarot that tries to do it, but again, she points you right back to the base definitions for all of this, for the Rider-Waite definitions, and basically tells you again, memorize these definitions. Yes, she does things a little differently, and I like her. I'm not saying that she's a bad person. I'm saying I like her platform. I like her as a teacher, but she doesn't explain how to use that intuition. She doesn't explain how to tap into that intuition. And I think I have done a very good job of explaining to people how and where to find it. It's right there in your own head, and how you can connect each one of your memories. And even more, I think, who said that it was a magical experience? I think it was Jen. I think it was Jen who said it was a magical experience when all of those memories started coming in to each one of these cards. She said she was in the middle of a reading and then stuff just started coming in.
Yeah.
And it can be scary because there can be memories coming in that you didn't expect and you didn't even know you had. So at times, you know, I have had somebody say that it was scary. It was a scary experience that had a memory that had come in. While doing, you know, while practicing my way of doing it, because like I said, your brain physically that is the way it is built. And the more you use the connections that you have, the more connections your brain is going to reach out and find in your own brain. And it can be scary, it can be overwhelming. The best advice that I can give anybody that is new to doing this is to allow it to happen.
Breaking
Don't
society.
allow it to scare you. Don't allow it to freak you out. Don't allow it to stop, or make you stop, because it is something that is in the past. It is a memory. I know we all have our traumatic issues from our past. We all have it.
I just had a thought pop up on that because I'm thinking back when I started working with the cards, and I guess I was just going through something at the time. So when I would get like the 9 of Swords, I think it was, I'm trying to remember, that kept coming up, or something, or even Queen of Swords, where I had like a negative connotation around that. But maybe I would pull that card for a Queen of Swords for someone else now, and I would see the positives of that archetype, like if they need to draw upon some of that energy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you find that changes for you over time, or is it really like your initial connection with the card? Because to this day, if I were to pull that for myself, I'd be like, oh, no.
It does change because the cards that surround it and the questions always change. So it's always bringing up a different emotion, a different memory. A lot of times, yes, it will start out that way when that card is first flipped. But then when you look at the surrounding cards and what the actual question is that was flipped on, that memory is going to change. And it will do that on its own. because you'll see that you've already been talking about this. And when you flip that card, your brain will make those different connections for you. And it's not going to be automatic for you at the beginning. It will be once you continue to use my methods. If you decide to join the academy or the basics class, I really get into a lot of this. And I encourage everybody to do that because I can only explain so much here on these calls. But the more you use this, the more your brain is going to make connections to similar experiences in your life. And those issues will have, of course, different actions that happen before the situation and different outcomes. So when you look at the surrounding cards, you can think about the different instances. They're similar because we all repeatedly go over the same repetitive patterns. You know, from starting with the Fool all the way up to the World, we go through that on a constant repetitive throughout our entire life until we learn those lessons. So while you're going through these cycles, there's going to be many different instances. The instances running up to, you know, the actions that were taken by you and others leading up to, and what happened during and what happened after because of the certain steps that you took in this next instance. So let's say you had dated in high school, you dated a narcissistic person. You remember the actions that they took. You remember everything they said, everything they did. You remember the feelings and emotions that you went through. So let's say you flip the Five of Swords or the Devil card in a reading. You know, those two I go back to right straight. There's that narcissist. And even the Seven of Swords I'll bring into that narcissistic level because somebody's lying to you, somebody's stealing from you when it comes to the Seven of Swords. So I bring that energy in there. So that could be, you know, the first thing that goes through my mind is lying, stealing, narcissist, allowing somebody to take advantage of myself, needing to get free from a certain situation. Now, if you've seen this card, if there is another situation and you've seen these cards pop up, what are the surrounding cards? You know, what actions did the person or the people involved take to get into this situation? And what is going on now here in the present in the surrounding cards? What are the surrounding cards telling you? You know, what direction? You know, what happened in high school? Did you get away from this person? Did you, how did you get away from this person? How did you correct the situation? What steps did you take to get yourself out and get yourself happy again? Now that would be the information that I would be bringing in. You know, when I was dating this person, you know, this is what I had to do. I had to look at the entire situation and figure out who was lying to me and who wasn't. And I had to make that hard decision whether to walk away or stay. I had to call out each person and, you know, call them out on their lies or what I thought they were lying about. And I had to make the decision as to who was truly lying, who wasn't. And what direction I wanted to go. Did I just want to walk away from everybody or just a certain few? Did I need to completely cut everybody off or, you know, just stay friends with somebody, but just never trust them again, which I would never personally recommend that, but hey. And, you know, it's just the situation. You have to think about the entire situation of past issues. And again, when you're looking at maybe somebody saying, well, what do I do to find a person that I can be with and be happy? And one of those cards would show up. You know, I would explain to them, you know, what the card means and what they should watch out for. You know, watch out for this type of personality. You don't want to get in with this type of personality. If, you know, people like that, the narcissistic personality, they start out very, very charming.
Mm.
They start out and making you feel like you're, you know, the best person in the world. And then at some point it changes. At some point they start that nitpicking. They start that, you know, 30 questions the second you walk in the door. They start to make you feel like there's something not right about you. And that's when you know, that's the kind of information that you want to bring in and allow it to come in. That's why I say some people may find those memories to be scary, because that type of relationship in itself can be extremely scary. That narcissistic personality, being in a relationship with that type of person, it can get obsessive, it can get violent, it can get, you know, you name it. So that can bring in that kind of scary. So that's just kind of, like I said, just kind of brace yourself for that happening. The more you do this process, the more you connect with these cards, the more you connect with your memories, the more memories are going to come in, the more information you're going to be able to draw on, and the quicker you're going to get with looking at one card and the surrounding cards and making those connections and giving that advice. Does that make sense?
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions before we end today? No?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, Kristen, if you want to at any point set up a call with me or with Tony about joining the academy or the basics class, just text me on Facebook or post, you know, either there or on MeWe or whatever, and I'll send you the link to fill out the call form, and we'll do just this, a Zoom, just me and you, or just you and Tony, whichever. And have a chat about it.
All right.
And
Thank you.
And that goes for anybody else who is watching this. If you do want that, actually, I'll just post the link anyway when I post this video. Make it easier for everybody. And hopefully this world will straighten out soon.
We'll be all right, girl.
Oh, crossing my fingers, definitely. Tony, did you want to have class tonight or today, or do you just want to wait till Wednesday?
Should we wait till Wednesday? Because I've got blogs that I need to write.
Okay, sounds good to me. And I will see you guys soon.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay,
Bye, Tony. Bye, Kristen.
Thanks. Nice chatting. Nice to meet you all.